We have two senior reps. We have Katrina and Kale here this evening. I am going to skip the Pledge of Allegiance via Zoom. It just doesn't work well. The mission statement: the Viroqua Area School District provides a quality education for all students that inspires continuous learning, positive relationships, curiosity, and compassion in an environment that welcomes diversity while developing respectful and responsible citizens. We're going to start tonight with the student board report. I would like to begin by congratulating Katrina and Kale on the outstanding accomplishments academically as well as athletically this winter and this academic year, actually. So I don't know which one of you would like to begin, but I'll let you two decide.
You can go, Kale.
What am I talking about here?
It says student board report, Cooley Conference Scholar Athletes.
So just kind of your year in general, Kale, and the athletic parts of it and the challenges with that.
Okay, so yep, in the fall this year, I played football and I was a captain on our varsity team. And in the winter here, I was participated in wrestling, and I ended up going to state this year and becoming a state champion at 152. So that was good. Struggles this year in sports. Everything was different, especially wrestling was a lot different. The whole year there was no tournaments. It was just all dual meets, and they were 7 days apart. Practices, you had to wear masks during practice and during competition, so that made it difficult. And it was definitely a quick year this year, quicker than normal, so just made it difficult. But I'm glad we had the season, and I'm grateful for it. So, yep.
Thank you. Do you want to speak to the academic piece at all of your experience this year?
Yeah, for sure. At the beginning of the year, we're going 2 days in person and then 3 days virtual. And it was kind of challenging. It was different, but I tried to make the most of it. I think my GPA right now is 4.1 something. I'm not sure exactly, and so I just try to make the most of it. And I'm glad that we're back in person now, and I'm enjoying it. So.
Okay. What are your plans next year?
I'm attending UW-Madison, and I think my major right now is going to be in kinesiology. So.
Oh, great. Marvelous. Well, congratulations. We couldn't be more proud or excited for you. We know how hard you've worked for the accomplishments that you've received, and we're sorry we couldn't celebrate in the way that we would have in the past. You obviously deserve that, and we just wish it could have been a little bit different, but you certainly have overcome all of the barriers that could have stopped you and prevented you from the successes that you've had. Do any other board members have any questions for Kale?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us. Katrina?
So I had cross country in the fall, and now I will have track in the spring. I don't know, I guess it was just challenging with COVID, all the different rules and smaller meets. But yeah, I'm excited for track.
Okay. Would you like to speak to the awards that you received athletically?
Well, I've been all conference honors all 4 years for cross country. This year I was second team, I believe. Honestly, not for sure. Yeah.
How about academically? Anything about your experiences this year, or any college courses that you've taken academically?
I'm taking 3 APs this year, so by the time I graduate, I will have taken 6. and I'm not sure what my GPA is right now. I think it's also 4.1 something. And yeah, it was definitely challenging doing the hybrid schedule, but I'm glad we're back in person, I guess, but also it's hard to get used to that.
Where will you be attending school next year?
I'll also be at UW-Madison.
Okay. Do you have any idea what your major might be?
I applied as undecided, but I'm thinking psychology.
Okay. Well, once again, we would like to congratulate you as well on your accomplishments. Very, very proud of the work that you've done, especially with COVID for a year and 3 months of your academic time at Viroqua Area School District. I hope the spring brings some more fun experiences for you as well as some more successes. Kale, I'd like to ask what kind of college courses have you taken at Viroqua, or AP courses?
I've taken 3 AP classes. I've taken AP Environmental Science, AP Psychology, and AP Calculus.
Okay, marvelous.
Yes.
So does anybody have any questions for Katrina? Anything else you guys would like to share with us as far as your education at Viroqua Area Schools as you're winding down here? How many days do you have left?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's usually there's a countdown. The countdown hasn't started yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Right.
So anything you'd like to share with us of your academic experience and your athletic experiences, good, bad, indifferent?
Good.
Yeah. I just say the sports that I was participated in, football and wrestling. I just think the coaches, they're probably the best coaches I could ask for, and I'm very grateful for them. So Dwayne Skleski, and then also my dad, Eric Anderson. So.
He paid you to say that, right, Kale? Your dad?
Yep, he's right here talking. Just kidding.
I have to say that I, an unbiased opinion, believe that your coaches are fantastic. And I know so many people who have gone through those two programs, and your dad is marvelous.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
You both have fantastic parents that are very engaged in your education and your lives, and that's obviously been a positive influence for both of you. So, well, we wish you only good things moving forward. We look forward to at some point hearing how you're doing in that next phase of life that's going to be coming, and couldn't be prouder. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
So with that, we will move on to Spotlight on Education, Middle School Interventions. We have Talia Klein here today, Middle School Intervention Teacher. Talia, would you like to kick it off here?
Sure. I'm happy to be back. It's been a while. We kind of came from Wyoming to Chicago and to back here, and it's really nice to be back. So we are very happy to be back in the area. And I just want to start by a sincere thank you for the position, because I'm very happy to be doing something I love and back working with middle school students, which has always been my favorite group of students to work with. And a big thank you to my middle school staff, because I felt very warm and welcomed to every classroom that I've gone into. So a big thanks to my middle school crew. If it'd be all right, I'll just give you kind of an overview a little bit of what my position is so far and a little bit of my plan. If that works.
Great. That would be great. We feel very lucky to have you back. Welcome back.
Thank you. So I know I've talked quite a bit with John about the report card a little bit, and I know that it's changed. I know it used to be called Closing Gaps, and now it is called the Target Group, which kind of encompasses the special education group and the general education as one. And they kind of focus on that whole bottom 25% achievement range. So really that lower 25% is going to be what I'm going to be targeting. Maybe not initially, but that's kind of the ultimate goal, is a greater group of students. So we had our meeting on the 25th, where we had our RTI lady come in from her organization, and she gave us a good 2-hour kind of rundown on what it looks like. And then after her presentation, we were actually able to break out into all different groups. And that's where I got a good chance to go into with the math group. And then I got a chance to go and collaborate some with the ELA group. And we had a lot of conversations about some programming and stuff. So where the students were kind of the things that they were looking at that needed some help on, it really gave me a chance to kind of get it, know the students a little bit. And then I also got a chance to talk with the teachers more specifically. Early in my first 2 weeks, I made a lot of time to go into all the classrooms from 5th through 8th. So I kind of got to see what the teachers were like, what they were teaching, their teaching style. And I'm really impressed just because coming from a bigger district, coming back to a smaller district, it made me really happy. And I saw a lot of good things happen in all the classrooms. And I actually went back home and told my husband how proud I was that we have so many good staff members at Viroqua, because not that I didn't see some of that where I came from, there was definitely good teachers, but I just saw more heart than I had seen in the last like 10 years. So I was very happy and pleased to see that in our district. So then a little bit more about our tier 3s. Tier 3 students are the ones that I've been targeting. So that tier 1 group is mostly the general education students that our general education teachers teach. And then that tier 2 is more of that reteaching and reassessing when they need a little bit extra help. And then the bottom 25%, that tier 3 level is the students that I'll be working with. And that's really more of the students that I've been pulling out with one-on-one. I've met a few of the kids, in groups of 2, but a lot of them have been just really intensive because they're behind on a lot of skills and they have a lot of holes in some of their learning. And they do a lot better when they have that intensive units or that intensive support. So I've been spending most of my time taking them, and I have about 15 kids right now that I've got that are on tier 3. And I know there's a lot more kids that need more, but that's where I'm starting, at least right now, where it's just that 15 kids, and then hopefully getting to, the greater that 25% range a little bit. What else was I going to talk about a little bit? I spent a lot of time too in talking with a couple of our psychologists, our speech and language, a handful of teachers about some of the programs, because I'm still learning. But EduClimber I've spent a lot of time on. The STAR reporting system I've spent a lot of time on. IXL for ELA, and then the iReady is the math program that a lot of our teachers use. So trying to get familiar with all those programs is taking me a little bit of time because they're all new for me, but I've gotten a lot of feedback from a few of our teachers that are much more fluent in it than I am. So that's been helpful. I do feel very supported in this position. I think it's going to take a lot of time, but I can see that there is a great need for this. And there's a lot of students in that tier 2, tier 3 that could use a lot more support. So I'm really happy to be here and hoping I can make a difference and do the things that need to be done.
Is there any goal setting to bring those students to a higher level? Is there some expectation of, the end of this year, a certain number of students will be at a certain point?
I don't have specific numbers, but I know that is always the goal, is to bring our students up as close to possibly to at least that tier 2 level.
Okay.
And I think by what I've learned so far about the students that I've been seeing, that there is a handful of them that should be able to get a lot closer.
Okay.
So, hey, Angie, if I could just interject, at our Friday in-service, our core teachers will be meeting, and that is the first item they're going to tackle is develop 2 to 3 goals on what we need to do differently to help students achieve. So, yep.
Marvelous. Does anyone have any questions for Talia? Well, Talia, we're so excited to have you in this new position, and we really look forward to hearing the progress that our students make as you move forward and get more comfortable with what's being done in Viroqua, and assisting our students to be the best that they can be, and our staff too. If you have things to add for them, things for them to do in a different way that might better serve our students. So thank you very much for coming tonight, and I look forward to hear from you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And you're more than welcome to stay or not. We've been told we're a little bit boring, so.
I didn't say boring, but I'm about due to go give a bath, so I should. It's about 2 other bedtimes, and my husband peeked in like, I'm like, wait.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank
Have
you
a good
so much. You guys
Thanks,
too.
Talia.
Bye.
Welcome visitors. Beth, do we have any public comment? I assume.
We do not. We do not.
Okay. The next item is the consent agenda, proof of public notice, approval of agenda, February minutes, voucher summary. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, proof of public notice, approval of agenda, February minutes, voucher summary, one in the amount of $254,233.04 as presented?
So moved.
That would be a motion by Marina and a second by Kim. Any comments or questions? With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Voucher summary 2, is there a motion to approve the voucher summary 2 in the amount of $262,997.18 as presented?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I abstain. Resignations. Is there a motion to approve the resignation of Deanna K. Lore, special education paraprofessional, with thanks for her 4 years of service to the district?
So move.
Motion by Kim. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Robert. Any comments or questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Aye.
Retirements. Is there a motion to approve the retirement of Vernon Daines, middle school teacher, 36 years, Joe Marizola, middle school teacher, 31 years, and Sherry Waddell, Montessori E1 teacher, 6 years, with thanks for their many years of service to the district? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Matt. Comments, questions? We're very fortunate to have these 3 outstanding teachers, and they are going to be missed. With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Job description. Is there a motion to approve the summer school principal job description?
So move.
Motion by Kim. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. With that, notice that there are a couple of changes depending on when you last looked at the job description. There's an addition of role model and mentor to students and staff with minimum qualifications. I believe that all students can and will learn, works well with students, staff, and parents, friendly, approachable, and enthusiastic. I had requested that there were a couple of changes made just to make sure it reflected more of a positive student focus. And I'd like to thank Tom for adding those items to the job description. Are there any more questions?
I just want to say, it's nice to have this focused, somebody focused on what we're going to do in summer school, and not having to, for the elementary principal who did part of it, actually the other principals did part too, because you had things in their building. Somebody that's focused to look at that and really put a lot of effort into it, especially this year because of all the learning gaps we have. So I think this is really a good thing to do.
Thank you, Kim. Anyone else? I agree wholeheartedly. Anyone else have any comments?
Could we
Okay,
have a
with that,
salary commensurate or suggested for this?
What's that, Robert?
Salary amount for this position.
We'll be bringing that back in April. We discussed it briefly in the summer school compensation, but we were going to wait until it was an approved position, and then we'll bring it back to that committee in April for you guys.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep. Sorry, guys, and I do apologize. My internet is on the fritz right now, and I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm going to stay without my picture. I'm not sure if you guys can even hear me right now. So, okay. But you guys are cutting in and out. So I do apologize if I missed something. If you could put it in the chat or anything like that, or get my attention. It is really choppy, so I apologize.
Kim's was choppy with me too, but everyone else has not been. We will move on to item E. Is there a motion to, whoops. I believe, you know what? All in favor of the job description with changes, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Sorry about that. Appointments. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Riley Abeam, summer school principal, George Hopkins, varsity softball coach, Christina Dahlhausen, volunteer softball coach? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
That's a motion by Marina and a second by Amanda. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Just,
Did someone oppose?
no, should that be varsity instead of volunteer? We typically don't approve volunteers.
We actually do approve volunteers. We have for football, and I don't know if it's supposed to be
It's written correctly.
That's correct.
correctly because we have Hopkins as a varsity softball coach, so I assume that's volunteer. So we approved that. 2021-22 graduation date. A motion to approve the class of 2022 graduation being held on Saturday, May 28th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
The motion by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vicky. Any questions? With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. I'm not hearing a lot of ayes. Is everybody coming in? I just want to make sure. I don't know if it's a little delayed or just want to make sure everybody's voting. All in favor, vote by saying aye. If you could say it again.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item is approval of the 21-22 fall early college credit program, Start College Now, and online course requests. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
By Matt.
It's Matt first and then Robert.
If that's the way you want it, that is absolutely fine. With that, I asked Jason a couple of questions about how many students might be taking these classes and how many classes they might be taking. Jason, could you answer those?
Yeah, definitely, Angie. We have for the Start College Now, there's 6 students that have expressed interest. The early college credit, we have 5. And they total requested nearly 60 college credits. But that gets greatly inflated because a lot of times until the course catalogs come out and the schedules come out, you just don't know. So a lot of students, they may only be interested in doing one course, a 3-credit class, but they'll probably put like 6 options down, just to make sure that we can get it and we don't have to come back for approval along those lines. So, and then for online, and these are the online that are not through like a full-time online program. So all total we had for that is just 3 high school credits worth. So that's a pretty minimal. Typically a lot of times, those will be classes that will be like advanced placement classes that we don't offer in-house. And our full-time online provider doesn't provide all of those. So a lot of times those will be very specific type of high school courses. Obviously with advanced placement, they can earn college credit, but they are basically classes taught at the high school level. So pretty similar in nature to previous course requests we've had. So
I wasn't sure if this year we would have more people wanting to take some online courses because of the virtual options that have happened this year, but it doesn't sound like that's a possibility. I also know that the courses, they can't always get the courses that they want because it depends on space availability. So I didn't know what that looked like either, and they won't know either for a little while. So
yeah, and I think a lot of the colleges are still up in the air whether they'll be in person or online. A lot of these programs, they can take classes online. So I think it probably has complicated the decision making. The thing is, the kids need to get their requests in ahead of time. They can always choose not to go through with it. But I think, it can play out a lot of different ways. I think you do have the online, which can be very convenient, but you also probably have a facet of the teenage population that aren't real thrilled to do online right now. So they probably are okay being inside of a building and having a teacher in front of them too. So a lot of variables, I think, going into play.
thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Jason, for finding out that information. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Or a thumbs up, either way. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is motion to approve the 21-22 Vernon County Better Futures 66.0301 cooperative resolutions with the Westby, Kickapoo, and Lafarge school districts. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Ken,
Second.
second by Robert. Any discussion? With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Or thumbs up. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item, this would be summer school compensation. Is there a motion to approve the summer school compensation as recommended by the compensation committee?
So move. Vicky.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Matt. Kim, would you please give a little bit of information about the compensation committee summer school meeting today?
Yep, we're looking at an increase in the hourly pay to $30 an hour, which, and there's some increases in the other areas, but I think, and the student aid, student workers will go up to $8.25 an hour. And overall, there's an increase of about $9,000. I think the important thing here is we want to increase the number of classes that are available, and we want to have teachers want to, because we want our best teachers in front of our students. And the other districts around us look like they're going to be moving in this direction also.
Thank you. Any questions for the compensation committee or Kim? Thank you for meeting on this topic today. All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item, is there a motion to approve the audit bid with Johnson and Block Incorporated for the 21-22, 22-23, 23-24 school years as recommended by the Budget and Finance Committee?
So
There-
move. Amanda, so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Marina. Amanda, would you give an update on the committee from today?
Yes. There were 6 requests for proposals. 5 of them received them and 2 replied back. And then they were scored out, and Johnson Block was the top score. And that is the recommendation then from the Budget and Finance Committee. I don't know if Mike wants to add anything.
Just Johnson Block has done our audit. I think this 3 years ago, they received it back after going with the other firm for 3 years. So this would be their second 3-year in the last 10 years, I guess.
It should be noted that the prices have gone up, and the thoughts behind that are that there's a work to do for the audit with the ESSER funds and CARE funds that are going through the school districts at this time. Any other discussion?
Was that about a 50% increase in per year?
Yes,
over
Robert,
what
it
we
was.
had before?
Yeah. Yes, Robert, it was. And both of them increased their 3-year bids from last year. As you can tell, one was a 50% increase and the other was basically 100% increase as to what they had bid 3 years ago.
Any other discussion? Thank you to the committee for the work that you did gathering that information, and thank you, Mike. I know you tried to follow up with many of them to have them submit a bid, and just wouldn't. So thank you for that. With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. The next item, a motion to approve the following bids is recommended by the Buildings and Grounds Committee. Trident Ride-On Scrubber from Hilliard, $16,348.85. Trident Walk Behind Scrubber from Hilliard at $7,519.13. Gallon Carpet Extractor from Hilliard at $7,649.96. A Walk Behind Scrubber from Hilliard at $3,476.25. Is there a motion? Motion by Robert. Is there a second?
Hey, Robert.
Second, Vicky.
Second by Vicky. Robert, would you give a little bit more information about this from the Buildings and Ground Committee meeting today?
That's, I guess I'm not muted. Okay. Building grounds looked at the bids, time to replace scrubbers, retire a couple of them. One of them is not fixable,
And another one is we had down in the pool area. That was probably the third place it had been. So it was an opportunity that to update our equipment. And I believe we're talking semester funding here. So we have the ability to do this at a good point in time with funding available. And if Mike wants to add some more, he is more than welcome.
The biggest ride-on scrubber actually last year, probably in February or so, we demoed them here, and they've come a long ways. I mean, they're the computer systems that these have on there. I mean, we teased the couple of the custodians that if you hit a wall, it's going to send Terry Olson a message that says it hit a wall, and literally it can do that. We don't ever hit walls, so I'm not worried about that. But it is supposed to tell us, okay, your motor is drawing too many amps right now. Something must not be right. Send the service guy before it gets too far down the road. As far as that goes, there's supposed to be more online diagnostics to it. With anything, those, we'll see it. We haven't lived with that yet, so we'll see how that goes. But yes, we were ready to do this. I am happy to say that the quote that we got a year later is for the exact same price that it was a year ago. I was a little bit concerned because as the ESSER announcements came out, and obviously cleaning and sanitation is a big part of ESSER funding. I was afraid that we would see some price increases, and it was relatively the exact same bid with no increase on that. So that made me feel good that we were, the Trident brand is Hilliard's brand themselves. They manufacture it, or they control the manufacturing of it themselves. They'll be able to service it, and we've had good luck with the service from Hilliard in the past. And I would anticipate that we will too. And that was a big part of our decision making, in addition to lower cost. But one of the other units that we did have is an exact replica of the scrubber that we have here in the elementary school. But the price was a little bit higher, and we were concerned about the service side of things and the responsiveness on that. So I think the crew is excited to get some new equipment. They're comfortable with their current equipment, but new is always fun. So we're ready to go, and I think all of these are going to be able to be delivered within the next few weeks.
Thank you. And thank you to the committee for looking over all of this, and Mike for getting all of the numbers together and working with our crew to find what the needs are so that we can get these items before summer comes. With that, all in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is informational. The first reading of curriculum for the library and information technology. Vicki, would you like to present to that?
Sure. We had our meeting for this meeting, the curriculum committee. So we reviewed the curriculum materials that are out on our drive. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at those yet, just peruse through them. And if you have questions, you can direct to Tom or Angie as usual. But we went through and did not have too many questions. They're really well organized. First, looking at the information, library and information technology K through 8. So very clear, the standards are there. All of the activities that students will be doing are written out. So we went through that. And then the English language arts, there's some information out there for everyone. And the middle school social studies, so we have the 6th grade update this year. And then if I'm correct, 7th comes next year, and 8th the year after. So that will roll up. And Angie had us put a note on the calendar to remind ourselves that we should be looking at that as those come up. So that was our first reading of tonight, and we'll bring that back next month.
Thank you for that. I am wondering, Tom, if, so for first reading of curriculum on here, it just has library and information technology. And so I'm wondering if you can add first reading for the social studies and the 6th grade for next month. And then this would be the second reading for the library and information technology next month.
I will discuss with Krista and we can kind of go from there, and I'll let you know. I don't know. Again, sorry, you're breaking in and out a little bit, but I think you want us to bring back the other 2 pieces for ELA and middle school for next month. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. I really do apologize. My internet is usually spot on, but I see Amanda's also struggling. I know Kim was as well earlier. So I apologize, everybody. This is we gotta love where we're at right now. So yes, we will look into that, and I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Krista, would you like to add anything?
I don't think so. We had a lovely conversation about it earlier, and it's been really fun digging into these standards and curriculum maps with these teams, and I'm learning a lot about our school's instruction, and I think the people I'm working with are really digging in deeper to it too. So it's a good fit.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Vicki and Krista. And Krista, please thank all of the staff for all the time that they've put into this, because it's obvious that they have. If you also, since Tom can't hear us that well, if you could reiterate the other curricular areas that we talked about today and add those as first reads next month, and then a second read for this month, or next month, sorry. Thank you very much. The next item is Buildings and Grounds Committee update. Robert, are there some other items that you would like to update us that were discussed today?
Yes, we discussed lots of different things, some summer projects, some things that need to happen, but mostly we discussed the, going back to my notes here, CISA 10's walkthrough and what they found about our school. And they were very complimentary on how well we've taken care of our school buildings and our grounds, which we knew our staff was doing a great job, but it's nice to hear that from others. They commented on some drainage issues right around the building that kind of showed up basically in the spring here during the thaw, and Mike and Eric went around and figured out solutions to some of those areas. Additionally, scrolling down here a bit, question of the future of the pool. As you know, there's been some investment that has to be made in the near term there. We've made some in the past. Boilers, some of the glass and lighting upgrades come to mind. There's some other minor things in the picture, but still a beautiful facility. Designed well for what it's being used for, and very costly if we want to do something else with it. Talking about filling the pool, we have Newman Pools potentially coming in next week. And it seems odd to be thinking about a pool with snow on the ground, but and looking at some of the stucco in the pool, whether that's dried out, needs to have something done with that, and also maybe some quick spins of some of the motors to make sure they're still freed up and everything before we would put water in the pool. But Newman Pools got a good chance to look over the pool next week, and maybe we'll have some more information after that. I talked a little bit about the stormwater, but we've always been concerned, I guess I have anyway, with the building and grounds about some of the water flow off on our roofs as it goes through and down to the sports field and everything. But they'll probably take a bigger look at that on another trip into the school district from CSIP 10, and we'll see what happens, what they find there. Future of the maintenance shop, i.e. I call it the old bus garage, looked pretty good at first blush, but then when they spoke to a structural engineer, there's some huge concerns with the rebar, the reinforcing metal bars that go in the structural beams on the floor for the second floor of the bus garage. We're seeing that that rebar is rusting. Pieces of the roof of the first floor, or pieces of those I-beams are sloughing off, exposing the rusting rebar. And once the rebar starts to rust, it kind of keeps right on going. So we're going to be looking at the costs of some things there. They suggested the cost of repair would be like $30 a square foot for the bus garage, so that's about $150,000. But that only does the structural precast supports. It doesn't do the roof and some of the other things that need to be done with that building. One other area, at the loading dock out by the kitchen area, that concrete, as many of you have seen, is deteriorating, and so that would be kind of a simple fix, but it's something we really need to address it in a fairly urgent manner. We also discussed elementary flooring as a summer project. Space Flooring did a walkthrough and looked at and measured, and there was some discussion about a couple of different tile types, and one of them was VCT tile, and the other was Premier Vinyl, I think. And the vinyl tile, we're a little concerned about its luxury vinyl tile, that is. A little concerned about longevity of that, whereas the VCT tile is a tile you can spend a little more money in stripping it off, the finish, and then resealing it every year. But that's what we have in the high school and middle school area. And that seems to look really, really nice after the stripping and the resealing is done. It looks like a new vinyl when our great staff gets that taken care of during the summer. So more information will be coming forward on that, and hopefully we'll be able to make a decision. Another issue we talked about was the athletic field lighting. Those lights are older than dirt, I think. I don't remember them not being there. And the proposal is from some LED lighting, which would provide more direct and aimable lighting and efficient lighting. And we wouldn't see some of the glow that we do now. And actually it might cause the staff to put some lighting in the bleacher area, because that glow, we've been using it to kind of light the bleacher area. And also it lights up the area, the whole neighborhood during evening contest. The ideal thing would be to complete the lighting project before we did anything with the track, because there wouldn't be so much concern about doing any damaging of the track with boom trucks and the like of equipment that they would need to replace those. So we're looking forward to some bids on those and how that might be accomplished. Eric Anderson is talking about the track resurfacing. We thought about trying to get this project done early, but Mother Nature and dropped some snow, and I think we will be moving back to July to resurface the track. Early July, we certainly have 4 events scheduled there, and we don't know what the schedule will do, because it seems like it changes daily, if not hourly, from time to time. So we'll have to see. This allows our spring sports teams to utilize the track, our track and field team to utilize it, to host the regional event, and then do the upgrades and the resurfacing. And we also noticed that our community, which is great, is utilizing the track for a lot more walking steps on our track,
which is great that they're able to utilize the facilities, and our community is impacted then positively by what we have for our students. And we'd expect to increase even in the usage of our track this year. Are there any questions or any additions by Mr. Brendel or Mr. Tubin or Ms. Lawrence?
Thank you, Robert. That was wonderful, exceptional. Thank you for that update. There's a lot going on for certain.
Sorry it was so long, but Mike and
wow.
keeping busy, and can't say enough about our custodian crew and how they take care of our buildings and our grounds. And it's nice that we had that opportunity for CISA 10 to see what we do here in Viroqua. So I tip my hat to them.
I look forward to their report in April as well.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that by filling the pool, that means with water.
Correct.
Yes, with
Robert
water.
mentioned filling the pool, and I just want to make sure people understood that was with water.
Yes.
Tom did mention during the meeting that some people say we closed it forever, but the goal is to open it. And we don't know what the governor's guidance or what our local health department's going to say about COVID and any restrictions there. So that's fluid also. We'll leave that to Tom and others to figure out how to do that.
Fluid, huh, Robert? Fluid?
It's at any others on your job description.
Thank you for the clarification, Amanda. And didn't even cross my mind that filling the pool meant anything other than water. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
The next item is the district administrator report, schools update, charter schools, and summer school.
All right. Again, I'm still a little choppy. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay.
I can hear you just fine. You're not choppy on my end.
Awesome. Well, I'm just going to talk, and then, if you have a question, just let me know. As we're going through, I'm going to start a little bit out of order here, and we're going to go ahead and start with the charter school update. So in talking with specifically VAMS, the Montessori Governance Council, they just to give you an update on what they're up to, they have created a subcommittee that is looking into a possible expansion of the VAMS program to a 7th and 8th grade program. So they have been working really hard over the last few weeks with some of the Montessori staff to come up with a proposal that they're bringing potentially to their governance council on Thursday this week. And then we may need to look at a proposed amendment to our authorizer agreement of the charter. So just to keep everybody in the loop there, there are some wants from that the parent group to extend that charter, and they're exploring those options. Any questions about that? All right. What are the terms? Hearing none. Moving forward. Summer school update. We're extremely excited about a possible expansion to that program with the funding available to cover for learning loss. We know that now more than ever, the need for summer school for not only academic needs, but also those social emotional needs of our students needs to be a priority. And by hiring a summer school principal to really take ownership of that program, and by increasing the wages that you guys have approved tonight, you have taken a giant step forward in that process. And so I thank you for that. And I look forward to truly beginning that process. We are a little bit behind in that planning process just because it's COVID, and we were still in survival mode and for a long time this year. And so I'm excited for moving forward and truly beginning that. I've got quite a few updates as far as just in general school updates. I'll piggyback a little bit off of what Robert was discussing with that CISA 10 and independent evaluation of our buildings and structures and infrastructure. And we will have some needs that are going to be identified, and they've already identified some big ones. With our ESSER funding that will be available, and coupled with the potential of our debt falling off here in the fall of 2022, we have a real opportunity potentially to move forward in a way that we can get a lot done and potentially have very little tax impact, if any at all. So that's an exciting proposition, and something we look forward to pursuing as we move forward and looking into what that entails. As we move forward, this is my last month has been completely different than any of the months before that, because we've actually started to talk about things other than the coronavirus and COVID-19. So we have signed our library memo of understanding for the after school program. Now, this is not saying that we will not potentially expand, after school programming, but that is saying we are still going to be working in partnership with the library to provide some after school programming. And that would be at the minimum. They've done an outstanding job and have a great reputation with our families who really want to see that come back as soon as possible. And so, and working with Trina and the crew over there, I know they do a great job, and I'm looking forward to that partnership. Announcement from the USDA is that the free lunch program will continue through June 30th. So another huge commitment from the USDA. As we've gone through, we've been able to offer those free lunches for the majority of the year. Maybe it was all year. I can't even remember off the top of my head right now. And that is truly a benefit there, and what a blessing for our families to not have to worry about paying for those lunches. And so I know Chrissy and that crew have done an outstanding job in providing high quality meals to our students. And we look forward to doing so. We don't know exactly what that format's going to be, and whether it'll be, probably just during those summer school days, something like that. But we're really excited about that. The 5-day-a-week transition happened 2 weeks ago for our 7th through 12th grades. And while we were definitely excited to have all the students back, there was some anxiety, rightfully, coming back into that environment with all of the students. But I will say that it's been an overwhelming success to this point. Our staff has responded very well. You've heard 2 of our students talk about it a little bit today, and in talking with some students, we had just some great conversations those first few days back. I was walking past a group of students to kind of put it in perspective, and there were a group of 3 or 4 students, and they were together, and one of them was saying, "Man, you got really tall." And that's when it really hit me. That some of these kids have really not seen each other for a year, and it was almost like an emotional but fun first day of school again. And I cannot say enough, not only for our 7th through 12th staff, but our elementary staff as well. K-12 have responded in an outstanding way. I don't know how we could ask for more from this group, and I hope that they know how much we appreciate them. I know the board does. I know the admin team do, but I don't know how we can show that appreciation more and really understand, and really hope again that they understand what they've been able to do. When we look back on this, it's going to be a pretty cool moment to say, look at what we've accomplished, and again, I'm blessed to be a part of it, and excited for what the future holds post-pandemic. Within that, we do have all the students back. Very small transition. We had a couple, parents that were slightly hesitant, but even the feedback we got from most parents was more questions than they were, in any other way. So one way or another, it was more like clarifying on when the kids come back and how they come back. Another extremely exciting happening that has gone on is we have the vast majority of our staff vaccinated with the first, at least the first dose. And we will be closing up shop here by the spring break time with our second dose for all of our staff that want to have the vaccine. So to kind of put that into perspective, we're going to fall right between 85% of our staff that wanted it. And again, over the last few weeks, when you would have told me, if you would have told me a month ago, we'd be sitting here where we are right now, I don't know if I would have believed you. But big shout out to not only the county, but private pharmaceuticals or pharmacies that have reached out and or we've been working with, in general as well. So Walgreens did a really nice job at getting some of our staff in. Walmart did a nice job as well. But our Vernon County Health Department really deserves a round of applause for doing something through this pandemic that they've never been asked to do, and it's never been an expectation to do. But public health has done an outstanding job, and it's been an interesting partnership. I will say that I did not feel that I was going to know all of my Vernon County Health Department by not only first name basis but nickname basis. But it's hopefully those meetings. Not that I don't like meeting with them; they're great people, but can slow down here in the near future. And then just a last second update. Again, we did meet with Baird Financial and Mike. Oh, Mike, what's Mike's last name? Clark, right? Oh, maybe Mike's tuned me out. But Mike Clark from Baird, I believe. We're going to call him Clark.
Yes, Clark.
All right.
Can you not see me now?
I can't. It's as choppy as I literally. I can see you smiling right now, but then it's stuck there. So it's at least a good smile, Mike. So we met with Baird and had a very good conversation with Mike about a lot of things, including potentially looking into refinancing some of our debt. At this point in time, the savings because of the interest rates were very minimal, and so just looking at forward as far as timeline and when that debt is dropping off. And so the district, in my assessment, has been extremely fiscally responsible, and that's a big shout out to Mike. And I know I'm going to get yelled at for saying that, but that's okay, Mike. I don't care. We really, you guys have done outstanding work, and the future looks bright. Any questions? I know I should have threw a ton at you in like bulleted fashion there. Any questions, comments, concerns about anything in that report? And now it's choppy for Marina too. So we are, we're passing the baton around here.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. That's marvelous. Thank you, Mike. Great things going on moving forward. We're really excited to hear all of that. And focusing on academics versus COVID will only be a pleasure for all of us. Did anybody, I'm going to once again ask, anybody have any questions for Tom? Okay, hearing none, as he said. We are going to move on. Jason, you are up next. ACT, AP exams, prom, graduation, honors program.
Yes. So a variety of topics. Tuesday, we had the ACT testing for our junior class. We actually did it a little differently this year for spacing purposes and such. So we actually had the other 3 grades not come in that day. So we could social distance a little bit more. We considered a really good success. Likely, Wisconsin will not be held accountable to 95% attendance. Possibly a lot of colleges may not even require, the class of 2022 to take the ACT exam. And we have 20% of our kids doing online full-time learning. Yet last Tuesday, we had about 93% of the class come in and take the exam. So we only have I think less than a handful of students that have to come in for the makeup day, which is on the 23rd. So obviously great numbers for us, showing the commitment the kids have to come in and do that. AP exams are coming up early March. First half of March is the first go around with that. And comparing our numbers to last year, we have almost identical numbers to last year. I think when we tallied them up, I think we have one less student, and I think a combined number of exams, I think we have like 2 or 3 less exams. So very similar numbers to last year for AP, which is great to see, especially with so much flux going on. Prom, graduation, and honors program. Without the water discussed earlier, I would say all these things are very fluid also. We're working with our health advisory committees. We have dates. We've had tentative dates set up probably about a year ago. We set up the graduation date. On all the cards that and invitations, we set that with students that it would be on the 29th at 1:30. We specifically did not put on indoor or outdoor. We kept it vague, basically saying Viroqua High School, so we can finalize some of those plans. Prom, similar, about a year ago, we had chosen April 24th. We'll explore those options. We try to get the prom date on a year ahead of time because Mr. Anderson really does build a lot of the spring sports schedule around the prom date. Although spring sports, I think the first one officially starts April 19th with the extra season in this year. So that obviously changes things a little bit. And honors program, the seniors all have the ones that have applied have all gotten their applications in. So we're in the process of the selection process with that. That's typically the first week in May. I know Tom has been connecting with his people at the county, and we're trying to get advisement on each of the different areas. I think, just like with everything, we want to have as close to normal of situation as we can. Obviously we'll prioritize things. We want to, I think you can tell from the students, they're excited to be back. It's interesting with the countdown. They might have been able to tell you that today was day 11 of being back all together. Probably more likely than how many days were left in the year. I think it's kind of a different mindset with the transition in, because in many ways, March 1st was somewhat similar to September 1st. Because like Tom's example for the height thing, that was a high school kid that made that comment. That wasn't a 12-year-old going through the middle school type of situation. So evidently high school kids still grow a little bit in a year's time too. So yeah, we're trying to work through all those things. And we have, like, for prom, we had our class of 2021 court was selected last spring before we were sent home. We've selected a class of 2022 court. We have them meeting, and letting them know there's tentative things, but if there's things that you really want, that we can, suggest, or how we can work through that. So it's a little unique thing, because for those that know the prom experience, the parents do a lot of the planning. So if we, if we have a same date, you could break it up. Different schools are doing a variety of different things. Some are, eliminating it to juniors or seniors, but just having like one at a time type of thing. So we kind of have 2 courts and 2 planning committees that we can kind of merge together and hopefully create something memorable and be able to allow these events to occur in some form or fashion. So definitely working on a few things.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Jason? So the only thing I can say is my sons, between their end of their freshman year and the second month of their sophomore year, one grew 6 inches and one grew 8 inches. And so it's something I didn't even think about until you and Tom spoke to it, but they changed significantly during that time, male and female. So
yeah, we had to take a few double takes. You get an occasional one that you wonder if they've seen the haircut place in the last year or two. So, I mean, you can get a variety of changes and just growing up, throughout. It's a big growth thing. I think we probably take it for granted as adults. We probably have, and Tom and I joke occasionally, we probably have more gray hair than we did a year ago. But I think, I'm guessing we didn't get any taller.
thank you very much, Jason. Anybody, any comments?
How are them steps coming, Jason?
You know, depends on the week, Robert, you know.
Join the club.
All right, with that, spelling bee. Krista, can you give us an update on the spelling bee, please?
Sure. Our regional spelling bee we usually participate in was canceled this year, the one that is typically held through the Mississippi Valley Gifted and Talented Network. Many of their events have been canceled just because of COVID restrictions. But one of our Montessori paraprofessionals approached me and volunteered or asked if she could try this alternate type of spelling bee, which she had experience with earlier. So Mary Redinger took this challenge on and figured out the details. It was called the Scripps Spelling Bee, which they figured out a way to host it in a virtual format. So students who were learning virtually and students who were learning in person could participate in the different rounds. And so she coordinated that with the teachers' help, face-to-face and virtual teachers as well. And we had 2 6th grade students who advanced to another regional competition held or hosted through our local CISA, which was also a virtual spelling bee, which I had the chance to witness. And I have never seen a virtual spelling bee before, and it was something else. Because of course there's technical difficulties, you know, anytime you have a virtual event. So I'm very thankful for her to volunteer, be willing to take that on and provide that opportunity for our students.
Any questions for Krista? So thank you. Please thank her for moving that forward so our students had that experience. I can't imagine with technology not being able to pull up a word, that it seems a little bit awkward, but
they had to put their hands up like this in the camera view while they were spelling. So that was one of the safety features.
That makes sense. That makes more sense to me. Or I could see blindfolded or something, because it's just so easy with technology. But thank you for that. The next item is Read Across America Invention Fair. Pat?
Yeah, thank you. We just had our invention fair. So all 3rd graders learned about inventions and inventors in January and February. And then we had 4 elementary students who were selected to present their inventions at the Mississippi Valley Gifted and Talented Network virtually. And that was hosted by Waniwak Schools. And our students had some awesome inventions. We had a bed maker, a bike water bottle protector, a pet entertainer, and one that I would have liked to have for my own kids, a sibling divider for the car. So that's really a memorable unit for 3rd grade teachers. And I, being a former 3rd grade teacher, I always enjoyed that, where you can incorporate a lot of different, basically every subject you teach is involved in that unit. And there are some really great inventions by kids. They come up with some really good ideas. And then we had our Read Across America, which is March 1st through March 5th. And Nan Oldenburg, one of our reading teachers, spearheaded a lot of these activities. So we had dress up days, which again is very memorable for kids and makes for kind of a crazy week for staff. But we had hat day and sock day, wacky Wednesday, dress like a profession you want to be. And then always a favorite for staff is wear your pajamas on Friday, the March 5th. And we've got 5 students who are in the Reading Wall of Fame now for completing their activities for the month of March. And a few others, I think, we're getting their pictures taken just the other day. And then, you know, with all the virtualness that we're having to do, we were creative instead of bringing in readers to read in person in classrooms. A lot of community readers either Zoomed in or recorded themselves and shared that. So we had our school board president, Ms. Lawrence, was one of our readers, and we had readers from Royal Bank, Citizens First Bank, Elegant Store Products, Schlicht Insurance, some fire department members, Animal Tracks Veterinary, Viroqua Food Co-op. And then we were able to get a few district people, Miss Kathy Reed and Miss Woodward and myself. We all also read in person. And then going forward, we're going to take our cues from the National Education Association, the NEA. So looking at next year's events, looking at ways we can promote diversity and inclusion in books, and then make it more of a year-round celebration rather than just 1 week, because I'm not claimed to be the smartest person, but I know the only way to get better at reading is to keep reading. So we would just want to look at how we can do that and be more inclusive and celebrate reading all year long, and then highlight it this week. So that is what I've got for some kind of fun activities that have been going on at the elementary school.
Pat, did anybody invent a Cowboys win for you?
Gosh, I hope so. That would be a great invention.
Yeah, maybe our president would, Angie would like a Bears win.
I think if you merge the two teams together, you might have something, but I don't even know what that might look like. Anybody else have any questions for Pat? So thank you, Pat. I had the good fortune to be able to participate, and I did record a book that we like in our home. And I got some very, very nice thank you notes from, I think 6 different staff members, and then they had the students sign them, and I appreciate that very much. And it was fun. The negative was I didn't get to see the kids. I'd like to go in the room and see the kids and talk to them and talk about their, the jobs that they're interested in, because it's usually I go in on a day that they're dressed in some type of outfit for a career that they have an interest in, following through with. So, but thanks for figuring out another way of doing it.
Yeah, next year we'll get everybody back in person, hopefully.
Yeah, it's fun. It's so fun to see those young people in there and how energetic they are, and the great things the teachers are doing, and things that they have on the walls, and how they're trying to engage the students. So I did miss that.
Thank you.
With that, the next item, technology update, Mike.
Yeah. So I'm just going to get this ready real quickly here. Just a side note, I've never seen a kid dress up as a business manager for a career that they want to do when they grow up.
Incorrect.
I've not seen it.
I think George Hopkins' son, in my memory, wanted to be an accountant.
Okay, I'll take that. That and Krista, I think just hearing your update on the spelling bee, I might have thought of something for our admin meetings. We'll have to sit like this the whole time. So, but let me see here. I'm going to share the screen, I hope. Uh-oh. That didn't work. Okay. We're going to do it a different way. Here we go. Okay, so you guys see right now the presentation that, do you see the presentation? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mr. Zilke, our IT director, and I have worked on this over the years, and quite honestly, Pat, update this for me, tell me what's going on, and in exchange, then I do the presentation, and he doesn't get to come and ask for more new toys and money and everything. So it's a good relationship we have in that. So for the update for this year, when we look at the 2021 projects, we were able to double the amount of access points available in the elementary school, and that was a big project for us. We hope we have gotten to all the dead spots and that the classrooms have adequate coverage. Replacing existing virtual host servers, VMware ×2. I'm sure that's very important. He will have to explain to you how important it is. I know that was a big job that we did. Decommissioning the VNX storage system and moving the virtual storage to local disks has made things more stable and more reliable for us. The providing a laptop for every teacher, we've started it this year. It'll probably take us into next year just through the transition process. But we did realize that one, laptops, their functionality has improved so much better with the processors and the amount of memory and everything. And two, their cost, compared to a desktop, to get a laptop, a docking station, a keyboard, a monitor, so that they can operate it as a desktop computer when they're in the classroom, but yet if they need to teach from home, if we go in a virtual setting, or just even walking around the room and everything like that, the teachers that have gotten or have already received them, it's really improved their teaching. And then of course, increasing the number of Chromebook carts available. We've really increased that up. Chromebook update. Pat says curate, call, however you want to look at that, the end of life Chromebooks from the inventory. We did use some longer than recommended due to COVID. It was hard for Pat. He is a big end of life. He does not like to have things out there that he knows are not always the latest and the greatest, but adequate. But there was a time where we needed to get devices in students' hands, and we kind of pushed him on that. Have a device that's available to any student who does not have options available at home for next year. And then lab 6 in the elementary lab, the Chrome bases are at their end of life and will need to be replaced. And this was actually postponed a year due to COVID also. Skyward, we're going to be seeing some major changes in Skyward. They've got a new program called Cumulative, QMLATIV, and it affects both the financial side, my side, and the student side, the grading and everything. And in order to do that, our system was set up back going on 20 years ago now with separate databases. And we did need those databases to be able to talk, and there was some processes we had to clean up on our end before we could get through that. Again, COVID has impacted both Skyward's transition timeline. Some districts are in the process of demoing the cumulative, but we haven't heard an exact rollout for that, but they're going to start transitioning stuff to that. The internet we currently have, and we hope to continue our arrangement with Vernon Communications that allows us to provide school resource connectivity to school devices in students' homes who do not have access to internet. Now, there is limitations to that, in that they have to be able to be served by Vernon Communications. Some of our most challenging lack of internet situations are in areas where Vernon Communications currently does not serve, and there's really nothing we can do with Vernon Communications on that. So we still have the hotspots for those situations and those emergencies, but a lot of times the hotspots don't work that well either. Our current bandwidth, I have not had you guys break up at all tonight, and I'm at the district office. So the current bandwidth is just great here at the school. But as you can tell, bandwidth is something we have to monitor and have to be able to control, because how important it is to be able to carry out the education. We are also able to grant almost all requests for new hardware requested by the staff during this budgeting process. Pat every year, says, okay, what do you need? And it's I think this year was actually kind of fun for him, because a lot of staff had already requested and received it to be able to teach from home. But he's also seeing staff now saying, you know what, if I had X, I think I could do this better. And so hopefully, the requests are becoming, more pertinent and important. Again, we'll be able to supply all teaching staff with laptops and docks for the upcoming school year. And we always need to update and add to our security cameras. We were just going over that as an administrative team. And, you know, we're on 5 years on some of those. Those cameras run 24/7 and they do cloud up and they do need to be replaced periodically. For the 2021 plan projects, host replacement, again, he'd have to explain that better than I. You know, estimated about 24,000. Continuing team, we're going to have to keep going with our Chromebook additions and replacements, 75,000. Wireless access points, 10,000. Wiring for those access points, another 9,000. Teacher laptops, he's planning about $100,000 of investment, and then software, 40,000. You know, Pat's budget is something that he and I work pretty closely on, trying to figure it out. This year we will have some, again, ESSER funding that would be very appropriate to use for that. And so we're working through that to make sure that, you know, we hope we never have to go back to a virtual. I mean, that's, you know, it's been how many years since we've had to. You think back a year ago, when we were sending everybody home, most of us hadn't even heard of Zoom. And if we had, it wasn't like we do now. I think we're in a different place now. And I think I think spending this money at this point will be more efficient and more appropriate than if last year we would have been provided all this money and we would have had all that access available. We may not have done things as logically and as deliberate as we have. So yeah, the IT, I think Pat would say things are going really well here. Staffing is always a challenge, but yet we've got a really good staff. He's really incorporated the library media staff into his processes, and that's a real natural, you know, whether you're checking out a book or checking out a Chromebook, you know, a lot of the checks and balances can be the same. Plus I think that staff actually has an acumen for technology, so it's worked out well to leverage his limited staff in what they've been able to do. Any questions that I can answer, I guess?
Is there any conversation about a STEAM program that is part of the technology conversation?
Yeah, so Gidget Moore, our high school LMC, is working on it's not going to be a traditional fab lab, but a STEAM area as part of the library. And so she's working with Pat and eventually Terry Olson and eventually the administrative team in general to get that going. You know, I'm not 100% sure, and maybe one of the other administrators has already had some of those conversations. But I mean, you know, 3D printing and in a lot of those technology items will be in that area located off the library. So that's pretty exciting too.
Okay. Look forward to hearing more. Pat has to be happy. Although I'm sure there's still
Pat's a pretty happy guy. Tired. He's tired a lot, but he's usually pretty happy.
I'm sure now in particular. Any other questions for Mike? So thank you. That's exciting that those things are going to be moving forward. That's great for our student, staff, and district. The next item is the board report. Legislatively, I don't know if I shared this or not. I did meet with our legislators, Tammy Baldwin, Ron Johnson, Ron Kind, a couple weeks back. I don't know if I shared that with you all or not. Did I? No? So it was on a technical school, technical college level, but also with the K-12 system, speaking about what might be happening federally. Obviously, they spoke about the ESSER funding and trying to work towards the K-12 system and higher education working closer together so that students could get more college credits while attending school. That was part of the conversation. But once again, at that time, there were a lot more unknowns than knowns. And there was some conversation about summer school and trying to extend summer school. But once again, they didn't know what any of that was going to look like, but were very supportive of that. So that is all I have legislatively. The convention, Vicki submitted a couple of the breakout sessions and some notes from that. Vicki, would you like to present on those breakout sessions that you attended?
Sure, and I'll also highlight this month's school board. School News has lots of good recaps of the videos that are out there that are available as well, including the one I talked about, one of them last month, the Equity in Education, Overcoming Instructional Barriers. That was one of the highlighted articles. So I went on and watched a couple more videos that were sort of around the topic of equity. And the first one in my document is about designing an equitable portfolio of charter schools, which is really appropriate for our district since our community has lots of choice. And as we heard tonight, continues to ask for more choice in their educational options that we have. So Nick Protaski, who I know he presented to us a while ago. So if you watch this video, you might recognize him and Sarah Hackett from the Wisconsin Resource Center for Charter Schools. That is season 9. You know, the beginning part of the recording is focused more at schools who are thinking about having charter schools. So just a good recap for me and reminder of why we have our charter schools there. And what I really took from it was, you know, what are the signs of success? How do we measure all of our schools? Great schools are held to great expectations. So as we had our data retreat and we continued to talk about how do we measure how our students are doing, what are our expectations, what kind of data can we gather to measure whether we're meeting those expectations. Big bunch of bullet points out there for us to think about. And then the other one I watched was Leadership at the Board Table, Elevating Achievement for All, a focus on equity. And so Dan Narad and Louise Blankenheim from WASB really dove into, you know, why school boards matter and just how important it is that we believe that all students can achieve. Our leadership and governance does make a difference, and we need to focus on all students. So they really dove into practices for fostering equity, which for me was just good background information, but seemed like that's really at the school and teacher level. And then they took a step back and really talked about, well, what can school boards do to support that focus on kids and equity? And so they provided a lot of good research to back up what they were saying. My favorite slide of all was where they show the equity or equality, equity, and justice, the difference. And so really, the goal is for justice, for us to, you know, remove any of those barriers that exist, and removing the systemic barriers, because then everyone can see the game without any support. So that was a really good session to watch. So I highly recommend that one for everyone.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you for watching. I watched that last one too, and looking at the boxes and people standing on the ground, different levels with the boxes, and how everybody's the same looking over the fence. I thought that was a very good analogy of what it looks like to have equity. But thank you for doing that.
Angie, I do want to just mention really quickly, I did send the board an email about the governor's budget listening sessions on April 8th. So if you would like to, testify or, present anything to those listening sessions, please, do so. And if you want to, have help with that or collaborate, please let me know.
So with that, if there is someone that would like to speak, please contact Tom or I. And if there's a topic that you feel our district should present, please let Tom or I know that as well. And that would be great if somebody wanted to do that. Tom, do you know what that looks like for other districts?
For other districts, so the last listening session I did testify on our behalf, and it's not really testifying, but I did comment on our behalf, and within that you can say how that they're using these for say that they recorded them, they did the smaller groups and recorded them. They actually used a soundbite of mine in the governor's budget address, so they were actually using it. Which is pretty exciting. So they're going through that footage and combing out what they feel is worth passing on. So it was a great opportunity, and it really was a well-run forum for us to voice our concerns. And this is all things children this time, which is a little bit more broad than the education topic, so of the last session.
Could this also be a student then that speaks if children are the focus?
Yes, it can be. Yep.
So if there's a student that you think would be interested in doing this, maybe you could reach out or speak to Jason, John, or Pat, or Kathy. And I think messages coming from students is always even better received than from all of us adults.
Absolutely.
But that would be great. I know with Western Technical College, we always have student ambassadors, or whatever you would like to give their title, but students speak as to their experiences and how they got to the place where they are. And it's typically the legislatures really like that.
Mm-hmm.
So is this to the governor, or is this to the Joint Committee on Finance?
This is the governor's listening session. The Joint Finance has an opportunity. I don't have that date in front of me. I don't know if they've officially published it. I know they were talking about it last week, Robert.
I believe the first three are in person. The fourth one's virtual, and I want to say it was towards the end of April was the last virtual one that I.
Yeah, there wasn't anyone really close, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think Menominee is probably the closest. It was they were
Whitewater, I think, if I can remember correctly. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or discussion this evening? With that, Robert,
Mike, did we get any funding out of this recent thing for our school district?
For the one that was just approved last week?
Yeah, the 1.9 trillion.
Yep. Tom forwarded me a letter today, and Tom can actually speak probably better as to yes.
We don't have the official allocation. Yep.
Yeah.
We don't have the official allocation yet, Robert, but they told us to anticipate roughly double what we received from ESSER 2. And I believe that number, Mike, if I remember correctly, was around 1.4, 1.5 million, somewhere in that area. So if we anticipate somewhere between 2.8 and 3 million, Robert, that would be probably a safe assumption with ESSER 3.
But we haven't received any, Tom and I have heard, and we certainly understand that a certain percentage has to be to address learning loss, or what the different requirements are. They have not rolled any of that out yet.
Yeah, we do know that it will be 20% to address learning loss. So we don't know exactly what's an allowable expense under that piece, what addresses learning loss and what doesn't. And so I'm pretty sure that they will be pretty lenient in their in those pieces, as they've allowed much more flexible spending in these federal bills than ever before, and that goes all the way back to ESSER 1. As far as federal funding goes, we've had the ability to be flexible within reason, tying it back to COVID-19. Obviously,
in maintaining staffing levels is a strong requirement of 2, and I would anticipate in 3.
Yep. Other points? Yep. Go ahead, Angie.
So as you know more, how about if we add that to the agenda perhaps next month?
Okay.
It just didn't come out soon. It didn't get signed soon enough late last week. Beth was, do we put it on, don't we? And I said, I just don't have it.
Yep.
So if
Leave
that's
it to
okay, Robert.
to dump the gun. I'm jumping the gun again.
No, it's
good,
topical.
Robert. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, I was at a county meeting, and they suggested they were getting about 40% of the tax levy in funding from this.
I think more went to local municipalities this time than the other ESSERs had. I do believe that too.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions? With that, thank you all for your flexibility tonight to be here via Zoom. I appreciate it. Sorry for the glitches and love technology, as we all know. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Amanda. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Sorry about my technology issues. Everybody have a great night.
You too. Thanks to all the administrators.
If you'd had